What's up guys, welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to continue our replication series, and I know I said in the last video that I was going to do kind of a widget where you could select like a team and spawn as a member of that team. But I was thinking, and someone asked me to do a scoreboard, and I think a scoreboard will be easier to explain first, so I might do the team spawning system after this. So it's a little bit more difficult than setting up a scoreboard, so it's kind of an upgrade on difficulty. So I'm going to start by doing that. The first thing that I'm going to do to start is I'm going to create a new folder here in the content browser, call it widgets, and I'm just going to create a new user interface widget blueprint and call it scoreboard. Gonna double click that up, and because when we die we destroy our character, we cannot hold our points in the character, because when we die and respawn, that information will be reset. So we kind of want to accumulate our kills and our deaths throughout the game. So instead of using the third person character, we need to use something that is replicated over the network, but it's not our player character. And for that, I'm going to use something called the player state. So you can right click, create a new blueprint class, go into all classes, and you can search for player state. Click over here, click on select. I'm just going to call this my player state. And now we can go into our world settings. If you not have this opened, you can go into window and open your world settings over here. I'm gonna use the game mode override to third person game mode. I'm gonna open that up, and you can select your classes that are related to this game mode, and you can go over here into your player state class and select my player state. And you can, the default pawn class is already third person, so that's okay. Compile and save that. And now you can just double click my player state. So this blueprint is replicated over the clients automatically, so you don't need to do anything about that. The only thing that we're going to do with this is that we're going to hold data here. So I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to call this kills. Just going to turn this into an integer. Just going to make this replicated. And I'm going to duplicate that using Ctrl W and make that. And we're just going to use this as a starting point. I could do like score, in Call of Duties or Battlefields, but because the only thing we can do is kill someone, there's no need to have score because there is no assist or anything. So for now, just to make it simple, I'm just gonna have our KD display on our scoreboard. So I don't think we're gonna need to do anything over here, so you can close my player state, go into your scoreboard, and we're gonna open this. When we hold tab, we just gonna see this. So I'm going to want to drag a border in, and I'm going to fill this to the entire screen, make this settings to 0 so it occupies everything, and I'm just going to go, actually we don't have it. We have the padding. This is for the content. Okay, forget about it. We can just, instead of anchoring this to the entire screen, anchor it to the middle, and now we can resize our stuff. So yeah, I just want to make this not to use the entire screen. It doesn't really matter though, this is just visuals. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I need to make the videos short so I can upload them. So yeah, the one thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go into brush color. I'm going to go to the X linear, and I'm just going to use a gray color that I really like. The code is 060606 FF, and we're just gonna add an alpha of 0.5. 0.25. I'm gonna make it as transparent as possible so we can see, behind the menu. And now I'm just gonna add a new scroll box inside that border, and I'm just going to right click wrap this with another border. I'm just going to copy the brush color. So right click on this little arrow, copy from the other border. I'm just going to go into brush color and paste that. Going to go in, Actually, we don't need this. I'm sorry. So just delete the border and drag the scroll box again. I was, making a mistake. So just compile and save, and call this scroll box player container. So this is where our player info is gonna go. And just make sure that this is a variable. So click on this is variable boolean. Now we're gonna need another widget. So I'm gonna right click, user interface, and I'm gonna call this widget blueprint underscore player info. So this is going to be where we're going to display each individual player score, basically. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to delete our canvas panel. I'm going to drag in a vertical box to be our root. Then I'm going to put an horizontal box. And in our horizontal box, I'm just going to put a text. So I'm just going to, key D. Another text. You can just Control C, Control V this, so you don't need to dragging more text blocks. So in the second one, I'm just gonna just put a random key D over here. I'm just gonna say, I don't know, 1.5 just as an example, and I'm just gonna give it another name, and this is going to be the key D text. And I'm just going to click this to be a variable. Actually, we don't need that. We're just going to create a bind later on. So that's it, I think. Now I'm just going to select both Control C, Control V, and I'm going to get a spacer, put in between the two. This is going to be our kills. And I'm just going to name this the kills text, and this can be, I don't know, 5, and just select the spacer, going to X, and I'm just going to put it a value of, I guess, 25 is fine. So the thing is here, we don't really have where we can get our player name, because remember, when we set our player plates, I just used another thing, like I used the player ID to do that. So I'm probably just going to use the player ID to put here on before. So I actually forgot. So I'm just going to do pick up these two, actually including the spacer, Control C, Control V, and I'm just going to drag this into the beginning. This is going to be, just say player, and this is going to be the player name. So I'm just going to say, I'm actually going to write player name. So there you go. And I'm going to add, I'm going to give it a 50 over on the spacers. So you're going to have our player name, our key D, our kills, and we just need our deaths. So I'm going to Control C this. I'm going to paste that, and we're going to need another spacer in between. There you go. And this is going to be called our deaths. And our deaths, I'm just going to say it's 2 as a default. So this is basically how it's going to look like. Obviously, because, and I've misspelled death. So obviously this is up to you how you set up this, as long as you have this text that you can override with actual information. You can set up your widgets layout as you want. I'm just gonna add another spacer into the vertical box, so we can have a little bit of space when we have the table with all the players. So I'm just gonna add the 20. I guess that's fine. So now I'm going to need to go into the graph and create a couple of variables here. And I'm just going to go for the kills. Just remember to make this an integer. Make it instance editable and expose on spawn. So Control W to duplicate. I'm just gonna call this deaths, and I'm gonna call this the name, and this is just going to be a string. So compile and save, and I think we have everything we need, if I'm not mistaken. Also, another thing I'm gonna have to do, going to the player info designer, going to this vertical box and wrap it with a border. And what I need with the border, yes, exactly, the border, I'm going to change the brush color. I'm going to type in that color again, so 06, 06, 06, FF. I'm just going to leave it completely opaque, so we can see the information correctly. And you can just type in and say player info. You can drag in to see how it looks like. And actually made a mistake, so going to the player info, this border is not going to arbor the vertical box, is going to arbor the vertical box. So I'm not sure I do that. Yeah, I guess I can, just control vertical box, alt shift and click, control C this, delete the border, click over here and paste everything again. And now I'm just going to wrap up the horizontal box with a border, because I don't want that spacer to be affected. And I'm just going to go into the brush color and do that again. So 06, 06, 06, FF. Now we have this correctly. I know you can really notice in here, but it will be more visible in game. But we're actually not going to do this. Let's just delete it just to see. It was just to see how it looked like. But now that we are past the widget, I'm going to take care of the code. That's the most important thing. And the video is already 12 minutes, so this is probably going to be a long one. I hope I can upload it. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do this the best way I can. So let's go into the third person character and let's create a new tab. So just type in tab, keyboard events, and when we do this, when we press, I'm just going to right click, create a new custom event, call this a client underscore create scoreboard. So I'm just going to replicate this on an only client, because remember, we can only have widgets on the client, it cannot be done on the server. So with this, I'm going to create a new widget. This is going to be our scoreboard. The owning player, we can just get our player controller, because remember, because this is done on the client, the play controller is local. Now we're just gonna add viewport, so that's fine. And we can also, just right click on the return value, promote this to a variable, call this widget blueprint underscore scoreboard, and just connect this properly. There you go. Just make sure you connect from the, it's the same thing. So with this, we are creating the scoreboard, and I'm gonna need to create a new custom event called client underscore remove the scoreboard. Again, the non-owning client. The only thing that we're gonna do here is get the scoreboard, and we're just gonna call remove from parent. So just go over here. When we press, we are going to create our scoreboard. When we release, we are going to remove our scoreboard, and we can see this happening right away. So if we play, if you hold Alt, you can already see the border. There's nothing here, but doesn't matter. You can see that as long as you hold Tab, you're gonna see the scoreboard. But now we need to fill our information, and how do we want that? So because players can leave and enter the game at any time right now, I'm going to want to set a timer that is going to constantly update that player info that we created. So we want to fill in that information, like let's say every second, to update the information correctly. So how am I going to do that is that I'm going to go to the event begin play. So let's find begin play. It's over here. And after we set the player name, so we can also set something else that is called timer. So set timer by event, and we're just going to say every second, and we want to loop. We're going to create a new custom event. Let's call this scoreboard timer. Remember, if you have this connected to an event timer, you cannot set replication, but we just need to create another event. So this is client underscore update scoreboard. And as again, same explanation, because we're working with widgets, we got to do it on the owning client. Just go back here, client update scoreboard, and with this we're going to be able to update our scoreboard every second. But remember, we only have our scoreboard when we are holding the tab. So I want to check first if our scoreboard is valid. If it is valid, I'm going to want to get all the actors of class, because I'm going to want to get all the players that are in the level. So I'm just going to search for third person characters, and I'm going to hold F. And I believe there's something better that we can do here. Drag this input object into the event, and let's just go over here and connect this. Sometimes there's something weird with replication. If you don't have like variables getting into the function and getting passed through the event, if you just drag them directly, it can get messy, especially when you execute on the server. I don't think that will be a problem, but just for having things well done, just create a pin and never have like loose variables like this. Never have this when you are replicating something, and we are getting replicated variables even if it's in the owning client, so it's safer this way. And what we're gonna want to do here is I'm gonna want to get this. Remember that we created that scroll box, so this is the player. Okay, we need to cast first, sorry. So I'm gonna cast this to the scoreboard. Which is a second. Yes, this is a type object. We want to cast this to the scoreboard. Let's convert this to a pure cast, and I want to get our player container. And from this player container, we're gonna want to add a child. A child is basically something that gets added to a parent, like in a blueprint like this. A child of this blueprint is like its components. We're gonna create a child for the player container. The child is going to be another create widget, and this time we're gonna create player infos. So this player info, we're gonna create each one. We're gonna create one for each player on the level. So I'm just going to connect this, add a return value to the content. Just gonna get some space because we're gonna probably need it. Let's do this. And from our array element, so for each player, we're gonna want to get their player state. And from their player state, I'm first gonna get the kills. Oh, we need to cast first. So cast to my player state, convert to pure cast. We're gonna want to get the kills and connect that. We want to get the deaths, so connect that. And I forgot about the KD, I think. Yeah, let's go back into the player info. I forgot about the KD, so just press, duplicate this, call this KD, compile and save. Go into the third person character, and if you right click and refresh the node, the KD is going to appear. So the KD is basically the kills divided by the deaths. That's going to be our KD. And for the name, I'm just going to get the player ID as we did last time, so we can see the different players. And I believe if we execute this right away, we are executing 3 things. So if I hold tab, as you can see, oh, I forgot something very important, because we are updating this every second. Before we do anything over here, we're gonna want to get our player container, and we're gonna want to clear the children. So basically, because we update this every second, we're gonna want to, before we create them again, we want to clear everything. So remove the children, so we constantly get just well, the 3 things. So you can hold and you can see the default values, but we actually got some work to do now, because now we need to find a way to increase our kills as we kill and increase our deaths when we die. That's very easy, but now we got to go into the player info, and let's just go over here, player name, create a binding. That binding is going to be attached to the name, so just get that, drag, boom. Go into the designer, do the same thing for the KD, create a binding, go into your KD, get that, drag, boom. The kills, oh, what happened? Did the text disappear? Oh, it just got dragged. There you go. Create the kills, let's get them and connect to the return value. And last, deaths, create a binding and do that. Now if you play, you're gonna see that every value is going to be 0, except the player ID, as you can see, is set to the ones that are like, oh no, because this is the elf, but you can see the player ID is different. It's each representing each player, and the KD is 0 because we don't have kills or deaths. Now you're gonna need to know how to update that, and that's quite easy. So I'm just gonna create 2 events. So add a custom event, I'm just gonna, Control C, Control V to have 2. This is going to be server add kill. Let's replicate this on the server, because remember, when we are setting variables, we always want to do them on the server if we want that to be replicated. Make this on the server as well, and call this server add death. And now we're gonna have to not create, but we want to get the player state first. Oh, and remember, we want to connect this again. So let me just custom my player state, drag this object in. Oh, sorry. No, it's easier if you do this. Just add a new input, call this the player state, and make this of the type myPlayerState reference. Do the same thing here, player state. There you go. And now it's quite easy. Going to the add kill, we're gonna get the kills. We're gonna do a +1 and offset the kills. And because the variable is replicated and we're doing on the server, it will get updated on every client. So now when I get the deaths, we want to set the deaths, and we want to set this by a +1. Boom, connect this, and there you go. We have the things that is going to handle. But now we need to know, when do we call this event? That's quite easy. So when we kill someone, it's over here. So we are firing, we are going to apply damage. So you're gonna need to open that. We're going to apply damage. Actual damage that ended up. Okay, we're gonna need to do this on the event any damage. There you go. So this is true if we, okay, let me see. Okay, we're taking care of spawning already. Okay, that's fine. So before we do any of this, we gotta do two things. So just create a little bit of space after this, and let's call both of those functions. So server at dev, and a little bit more space. Server at kill. But now we need to give the respective player states, and the person that dies, meaning is self. So we're just gonna get the player state. Okay, there's something wrong. Okay, we need to cast, no problem. Convert this to a pure cast and drag this. And the person that receives the kill is the person that caused the damage. So let's drag from that. Let's get the player state. Oh, this is an actor. So you're gonna need to cast to the third person character. Convert that to pure cast. Get the player state. And then just going to duplicate this cast to my player state and connect that up. And now if we take a look at this, we should, so I'm going to be with this guy, I'm just going to kill both of the players. So kill this guy, kill this guy. Now if I hold tab, and you can see that I have kills. Oh, interesting, one of the players didn't register. Why? So I have 2 kills, but one of the clients got updated and the other didn't. Okay, that's weird. Did something wrong happen? So we're gonna shoot him down. I'm gonna find the other one. I hope this is the other one. Oh, I know what happened. The guy respawned and I killed the same guy twice. You know, that's why it was weird. So I have 2 kills and one of the clients died, you know, once. So now if I kill this guy, you can see that I have 3 kills and one of the clients has 2 deaths. And now if I go over to the clients, you can see that the things are the same. The players are not in order because normally we are always first. But you can see that if you see the numbers, they're actually replicating as the player ID and how the kills work. So here, for example, here you can see that the player 271 has 3 kills. If you go back over here, you can see that the player 271 has 3 kills. But something weird is happening with the KD because it's 0. Why is the KD 0? The kills and deaths are updating correctly. Did I fuck up something? Let me just go over here. Is this connecting? So I'm dividing the kills by the deaths. That's the KD, supposedly. Am I being dumb here? So let me go into the KD. There's over here. Find this KD and return that into a text. So what's wrong with that? Okay, let me try this again. Boom, kill these guys. So you can see it works, but why the hell is my KD 0? The KDs are not updating. I'm dividing the kills by the deaths. You know what, instead of doing this here, let me delete this. Go into the player info, delete this KD variable. Press yes, go back into the third person, refresh the node, compile and save. Now go ahead into the player info and we just do these calculations here. I don't know what is happening. Am I doing the math wrong? The KD is still dividing by that, right? That's what KD stands for, so it wouldn't be all the way. Let's try that again. Okay, let's see if it's updating. Wow, that is weird. Oh, no, it's not weird. Before 4 dividing by 0 is 0, 0 divided by 2 is also 0, that's why the key Ds are always 0. For me to have a key D, I will have to, you know, if I die now, and I go back, you can see that my key D is now 4. There's something wrong with the calculation. You know, I'm gonna explain you. It's very easy. You just have to make a little bit of checks here. So basically, if kills or deaths equal 0, but the kills, for example, are bigger than deaths, then the key D would be 1. If the kills are 0 and the deaths are bigger than 0, then your key D would be 0 because you don't have any kills. So it's just a little bit of check. I could do that, but the video is already 31 minutes, and you know, it's quite simple to do. Just put over here and connect this to the value. I'm gonna end the video here. On the next one, I'm gonna do that spawning system with teams. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to upload this in one day, but hopefully so. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.